Live from Manila. At the top. On the lead. This is Headlines with Sam Valmonte and Justin Sagu.
Good evening, Philippines. Here are the headline stories. Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada recently ordered the use of e-tricycles around certain areas in Manila. Carlene Abejo has the story.
The city government of Manila will launch its e-tricycle program that will replace all gasoline-run tricycles, kuliglig, and pedicabs. 100 e-trike units were launched in Binondo to pilot test the new transportation system. Manila Tricycle Regulatory Office Director Julio Galang says the new system is eco-friendly compared to gasoline-run tricycles.
To eventually decrease the numbers of vehicles using fossil fuel. So there are also moves to convert jeeps to e-jeeps, bus to e-bus.
Galang also says that the change will be a relief for the drivers. They only need to pay 200 pesos every day for the boundary hulog scheme, as opposed to 350 pesos per day on gasoline and boundary alone. Interested drivers will have to apply for the program to determine whether they are qualified or not. Those who will qualify will eventually own their units after 5 years. Tricycle drivers operating without permits will not be given e-trikes. But drivers have different opinions on the matter.
Pag pinatupad yan, malamang magkakaroon ng welga yan. Lahat ng mga lumalabas ng tricycle, motor, kuliglig. Siyempre, ayun ang pangunahin nilang number 1 na pinagkakakitaan to, di ba?
Pabor ako, kung sa pabor talaga ako. Kasi yan e-trike na yan, mas maganda tingnan siya kaysa ganito na pedicab.
The e-trike is a joint project of the Department of Energy with Asia Development Bank. ADB invested $300 million for the project and aims to put 25,000 locally produced e-trikes on the road to reduce carbon dioxide emissions and boost drivers' income. Giving you today's headlines, this is Carlene Abejo reporting.
Earlier today, the remains of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos was brought to the Hero Cemetery in a surprise burial. Ilocos Governor Amy Marcos released footages of her father's burial in her Facebook account. Thousands of protesters then gathered in the streets, holding up placards and chanting, "Marcos not a hero," repeatedly.
You know, Sam, the streets aren't the only places filled with protests. Netizens are voicing out contrasting views on Twitter. Here are some of the tweets Headlines got earlier today. Some netizens expressed their dismay on the surprise burial, while Marcos supporters rejoiced at the announcement. Next on Headlines. CBCP finally speaks up about the pork barrel scam.
And watch as the NUPEP squad takes home the crown for the 4th time at the 2016 UAAP Cheer Dance competition.
Who's your daddy?
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
And we're back here on Headlines. In the meantime, Angela Zenarosa is now live to give us an update about the traffic situation along EDSA Comuning. How's it going there, Angela?
Good evening, Justin. Behind me is the current state of EDSA Comuning, where traffic is moderate to heavy. As of 6 p.m., vehicles on the northbound lane are lined up in front of NEPA Q-Mart. The buildup of traffic starts from EDSA Guadalupe and continues all the way to EDSA Comuning. But that will ease up once you reach EDSA Quezon Avenue all the way to Chino. Now, on the southbound lane, there's a light to moderate traffic until you reach Cubao Overpass in front of bus terminals. Buses are at a standstill waiting for passengers, and motorists are advised to take Cubao Underpass. You may want to avoid EDSA Corner Ross Boulevard to Taft Avenue along the northbound lane and Ayala to EDSA Magallanes on southbound lane. On other parts of EDSA and southbound lane, it's an easy drive from Monumento to North Avenue. Justin?
Thank you, Angela.
Just a few days ago, it was reported that the carbon dioxide threshold has exceeded its limit permanently. But what does this mean for the Philippines? Criza Maluluan has the story.
Millions dead, thousands left homeless, stronger typhoons, more intense earthquakes, deeper floods. This is climate change. President Rodrigo Duterte's refusal to honor the Paris Agreement on climate change counted for nothing, as he was forced to sign the pact after being outvoted in Congress. World leaders recently signed the agreement after pressing issues of the effects of climate change were brought to light. Its consequences are felt more intensely in small countries like the Philippines.
Some of the islands are really experiencing sea level rise at extreme level, no? Na nakikita nila na yung dating basketball court nila, like in the Caribbean Islands, doon sila naglalaro ng playground about 30 years ago, naging dagat na.
Scientists have recently confirmed that the carbon dioxide emission has permanently exceeded its threshold. Last summer, the country's heat index went up to as high as 40 degrees, setting the record for the hottest year since 1990.
We will be facing consequences of climate change, more intense consequences, stronger typhoons, more intense rainfall. So hindi naman kasi even yung impact ng climate change. Some will experience drought, some will experience flooding.
The question remains, what can be done about it?
Yung simpleng yung mga bagay, like for example, waste segregation, waste management, paglalakad, pagko-commute using the public transportation, that's something we can do. No?
The world is crumbling under our very feet. Unstopped, it may fall apart tomorrow. It is up to us to make sure that we and the generations after us have a place that they can call home. Criza Malaluan, Headline Stories.
Meanwhile, CBCP issued a new pastoral letter addressing the pork barrel controversy. Archbishop Socrates Villegas urged Catholics to act against corruption. Casey Tayam has the story.
People should stop asking politicians money for personal needs, family concerns, and barangay projects. This is what the CBCP says in their pastoral letter to help end abuse of public money and rampant corruption in the government. It also urges the Church to avoid seeking funds for parish activities from public officials. But in a small town in Barangay Francisco de Castro in Cavite, soliciting donations from public officials has become a common practice for the chapel's fiesta. Medalia Sarsuelo is the founder and former coordinator to this chapel. She says before, donations only came from parishioners and willing sponsors.
Every hermana, meron tayong hinihingi 5,000 sa bawat hermana. Yun ang ginamit na Panginoon. Lahat ng pagkain. Dito kasi nagkakaroon tayo ng parang fiesta ng bayan siya.
According to her, the Pastoral Council started soliciting from public officials after she left as coordinator. The practice went from distributing solicitation letters to their local barangay officials to donation hopping in nearby municipalities. Last year, a mayor even attended the fiesta as a sponsor, months before the May elections.
Kung hihingi tayo ng hihingi sa politiko, may balik yan eh. Ang politiko mag-expect sa atin. Paano kung hindi siya ang binoto natin, hindi magagalit sa atin?
The town's parish priest Agapito Fenes says there should be limitations if people, even the church, seek help from politicians.
Kasi nag-iingat din ng simbahan na hindi ito maghabit sa politika, hindi maabuso ng mga politiko.
But he also says he can't blame people who don't have enough resources for their needs. In the pastoral letter, CBCP President Archbishop Socrates Villegas says Filipinos have become grateful beneficiaries of public officials. But Villegas insisted public governance is stewardship, not a system of patronage. Casey Tayam, Headlines, Manila.
This week marks the beginning of the celebration of mental health awareness, but not everyone knows about it. Kristen Amelia has the story.
Today marks the beginning of the week-long celebration of mental health awareness in the Philippines. However, unlike other countries, our government seems to lack programs for mentally challenged Filipinos. Cherry de los Reyes is one of those people experiencing mental health problems.
I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 a couple of years ago.
Sociologist Peter Pinlac explains why society reacts the way it does when it comes to matters of mental health.
Bakit ba ang mga tao, lalo sa Pilipinas, ano ba ang health sa kanila? Heart, cardiac problems, kidney, liver, lungs. Those are the usual four, diba? Pero because na-focus nila doon on the organ itself, the heart, the kidney, the lungs, the liver. So kapag yun nagkasakit, tatakot sila. Pero they forgot that the brain is also an organ that has a capacity or will have a chance of getting hurt.
Recently, 4 legislators have filed mental health care-related bills, but none of them have been passed into law. This is Kirsten Amelia reporting.
Meanwhile, the National University Pep Squad bagged their 4th consecutive win at this year's UAAP cheer dance competition, impressing both the judges and the crowd with their futuristic performance. NU won first place for both the cheer dance and group stunts category. They also bagged this year's Best Pyramid and Best Toss award. FEU came in second with their Broadway-inspired routine, while the Adamson Pep Squad secured 3rd place. The UP Pep Squad, however, refused to compete this year.
Well, Justin, it looks like there are plenty to be happy about. A new trend is making its way around social media, and everyone, from groups of friends to celebrities, has been doing it. The Mannequin Challenge is basically a compilation of videos where people act like, well, mannequins. They stay absolutely still while someone from the group records it and later posts it on the internet. Look at that. Very entertaining.
That's very interesting, but there are more impressive things to come in just a little while. The supermoon is here and so is Christmas. All these after the break.
Use Listerine daily for a fresher and cleaner mouth.
And we are back on Headlines Breaking News. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has just won the U.S. presidential election. A few moments ago, Hillary Clinton reportedly conceded via phone call with Trump. The president-elect is said to be on his way now to New York to give a victory speech to his supporters. Now, the relationship of the U.S. and the Philippines has been rocky over the past few months after President Duterte took a jab at President Barack Obama in an interview. Now that the U.S. is under a new presidency, what does this mean for the Philippines? Political analyst and UP Diliman professor Mr. John Robert Go is on the line now to tell us more about the U.S.-Philippine ties. Good evening, Mr. Go. Sir, how do you think Trump's victory could affect the relationship of the U.S. and the Philippines?
The problem with two persons of such temperaments, it's never a good mix, eh? Even if Trump could go for his isolationist policy, he may take expletives from Duterte much more personally than Obama. He's not the type to tolerate insults, especially from small developing countries.
Thank you, Mr. Go.
On a lighter, rather brighter note, tonight is the perfect time to gaze at the evening sky because the supermoon is here. This is the 3rd supermoon this year, the biggest, brightest, and the nearest to full moon since 1948. However, it might also bring the largest tides of the year. The phenomenon happens when the full moon approaches its closest distance to the Earth's elliptical orbit, which results in the largest size of the lunar disk as seen from the Earth. The next supermoon, just like this one, will be seen again after 18 years.
You know what, Justin? The moon tonight is not the only one shining. Christmas is right around the corner, so I checked out this Christmas factory that you may all want to visit. Santa Claus, Christmas trees, and candy canes. Everything that you will need for this merry holiday can be found in this Christmas factory. The Burmans just kicked in, but this store has already got us feeling like Christmas is just days away. Located at the corner of A.H. Laxton and F. Jackson Streets, the Christmas Factory is a huge shrine for Santa Claus, both miniature and gigantic ones. Owner Joe Santos has been running the factory since 1998, opening on the 1st of September and closing on the 20th of December.
Hindi pareho ng regular Santa Claus na palagi red na lang, di ba? Ngayon, neon color yung ginagawa ko.
As for this year's preparations,
Gagawa ako ng mga new designs, tapos yun, nag-iisip ka kung ano yung magandang pangbenta, yun ang mga preparation ko. At saka, meron akong isang ginagawa ngayon na 40 feet Christmas tree na dito sa atin sa Sampaloc mag-start.
the prices range from 50 pesos to 18,000 pesos. And as for celebrating the perfect Christmas this year,
Lahat ng Christmas decor ko, inilalagay ko muna. Tinitignan ko kung ano lang yung kulang. Kasi may mga buyer tayo na panic buy. Ay, ito bago, ito maganda, ito. Pagdating sa bahay, hindi na nila alam kung saan nila ilalagay. Diba? Sayang yung pera.
Christmas only happens once a year, but if you take to heart its incredible magic, then the spirit of the holiday could last you an entire year. Giving you today's headlines, I am Sam Belmonte, wishing you a Merry Early Christmas.
If that didn't make you feel like Christmas is near, well, we don't know what will. There are only 23 days left before the merry holidays, so start wrapping your gifts and, of course, spread the Christmas spirit.
That is all for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Sam Belmonte.
And I am Justin Sagum. At the top.
And on the lead, this is
Headlines.
Good evening.